Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Have a Chat, filmed right here in beautiful Miramichi with Rogers, of course. So I'm your host for today's show, Judy Logier, joined by my beautiful, stunning co-host, yes you are, stunning co-host Veronique Garcineau.
Hi Judy, so glad to be back on a Monday. Here we are Monday.
And we might as well say it for those who might not be experiencing what we're experiencing. It's been a heat wave.
It is stinking hot.
And you know,
stinking hot.
Summer is my thing. I absolutely love, there's nothing to me like the summer season, but the humidity is making me a little bit testy.
Yeah, so my deodorant is not up to the task it's been called to do. It is not up to what I need it to do. So
I find it's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
she can't smell it. I do not love extreme heat.
No.
And I'm thankful for cool breezes and fans and air conditioning and all of those good things. But you know what? I also won't complain because as I get older, I'm getting crankier during the winter.
Me too.
And so I won't complain about the heat even though it's stinking hot.
Yeah, and our dogs have only been able to get out enough to do their business and back in because people that, just a warning, think about the heat of the pavement on their little paws and pads. They can get burned severely, so you have to make sure that if it's too hot for you to touch, that's too hot for them to walk on.
Exactly, yeah, and Winston's been out for his walks early in the morning or late in the evening.
That's what we've done.
When it's been, and keep them hydrated, right? That's what, keep yourself hydrated and keep your pets hydrated because it's hot.
It's very warm, and so for the seniors too that are home, be sure that you're not going too far in this very high temps of 39, 40, 38 range because yes, you can get very weak and dehydrated, and for those out on the beach, sunstroke can occur too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So you had a road trip, which you didn't call the hot late. What did you call your road trip?
Yeah, so everybody talks about hot girl summer, right? Because you can only have all of these adventures when you're in your 20s and fit into a bikini, which, giddy up if you can. Great for you. So I'm calling it lukewarm old lady summer.
I think it's so funny.
Yeah, lukewarm old lady summer. So I decided quite a while ago. So my high school in Ottawa. So I lived in Ottawa for a bit and did a couple of years in high school there. And so they had a multi-year reunion on the weekend. So the school closed in our graduating year. So our class would have been the last year to graduate. So they invited actually the last 10 years that the school was open.
That was a crowd.
Almost 200 people.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and amazing work done by the organizing committee. Like, it was just fantastic. But I tagged on a whole week of adventure. So I traveled on my own, which shockingly created a lot of questions when I went places. So people, typically it was women actually. So I did a lot of adventuring while I was road tripping as well, and stopped in Quebec City and went, zip lining and all sorts of different things. But I would encounter people as I would go to buy my tickets or I'd check into the hotel or whatever, and they'd say, oh, where are you from? And I'd say New Brunswick, and they'd be like, you're driving by yourself?
And what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this?
Right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
From the 60s?
We'll go, yeah, exactly. So, and I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely driving by myself. And yeah, I'm ziplining by myself.
Yes, I'm independent.
And I had such a great time. It was so much adventure. But I will say this, that going to the reunion was the biggest ego boost I have ever had in my life.
How come?
Well, we were the youngest class there. So everybody kept saying, oh my gosh, you're so young. I'm like, yep, yes, I am. Yes. and people, it was so great to see everybody, and everybody's hugging you. And, they're like, oh, I remember you from high school. I'm like, oh, yes, of course. And like, it was so much fun. I had such a great week. Now, poorly planned. I drove back yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday. So the reunion was Saturday night. And I am far too old to be out many nights in a row after midnight, but I did it anyway. And then I got up yesterday morning. So I got home from the reunion at 2 a.m. and I got up at 5:30 a.m. and hit the road. and drove back to Miramichi from Ontario. From
You
Ottawa.
are quite the girl.
I had a great time. I had a fantastic
And
time.
I've watched you grow up, Veronique, and of course we all age and we all change and we all take on different facial features as we get older, and our bone structure and everything goes a little bit different. But you really do. I pick you out in a crowd, like from when you were 10 years old to now. Like you have still gotten that same look. You know how people, you wouldn't know them as a child to adult.
Yes,
it's like,
yeah.
that doesn't even resemble this girl.
Yes,
but
yeah.
you really do. You're holding your own extremely well. So
Thank
don't be
you.
hard on yourself, and don't call yourself an old lady.
Well, you know what? It fits for my hashtag. So, you know, I'm not quite a hot girl anymore, but I'll take a lukewarm old lady.
Well,
Okay.
congratulations on, first of all, being so independent, and second of all, just to embrace life and take on an adventure solo.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of you, and I was very concerned. And
Yes.
you know, I know the other drivers are crazy out there sometimes,
Yes.
so I prayed for your safe return.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. But you know what? I will say this though to anybody that's really looking to travel on their own. Some things that I did. I was very conscious of the fact that I was a woman traveling on my own.
Yeah.
And there were some things that I did before I left to put my parents' minds at ease. So I gave them a list of every day what hotel I was going to be in, right? And who I was, you know, where I was planning on heading, so that they kind of had that idea. Like, I knew the first day that I was going to Quebec City, I was going to go to Saint Anne de Beaupré, the shrine there, and I was going to go to the Montmorency Falls, and then I was going to go back and explore Old Quebec. So I made sure that they knew where I was every day, so that, and I, you know, of course, I talked to my parents so often, but just so that, you know, they had a little bit of peace of mind, but too, so that people, in case something happened, would know where I was intended to be at that time.
That's
right.
If you're at Montmorency Falls and you didn't come back to
Right,
check
exactly,
in,
right?
it doesn't sound good.
I know, it's not great. But
No.
the other thing is, I didn't post on social media until after I had finished or left someplace.
Right.
So I
Smart.
wouldn't get up and say, oh, I'm going to be here, here, and here today. I would, you know, I posted a lot. I post a lot on social media. It's something, you know, I do. But I didn't post until after I had left a place.
Smart.
So, look at what I just did. I just had such a great time.
Yes.
Rather than kind of setting myself up to be, you know,
Like
followed.
someone
Not
to
that
know.
not that I, you know, I would expect anyone to follow me
You
or whatever,
could.
but just, you know, just to keep myself as safe as I could.
Well, I think it's very wise.
Yeah.
And for people that are traveling that post, oh, we're going on a big vacation now for 2 weeks, it's like, okay, empty house.
Yeah.
Not the greatest idea.
No, and that's the other thing is my house was full,
Yeah.
right? And plus, you know, and Dad was like,
Yes.
my world here stayed the same. You know,
Yeah.
there were people in the house, and you know, so there wasn't an
worry.
empty house in that way. So yeah, and I mean, I, you know, made sure that I gassed my car often enough so that I was never, you know, at risk of running out of gas, and I had it, you know, the tune-up done right before I left. All of those things
Beautiful.
to try and keep myself as safe as possible. And but then I got to see so many old friends that I haven't seen in years, and
love it.
I had a phenomenal time. There was one day, because I'm not used to being, you know, having downtime and being quiet. There was one day where I was like, what do I do now?
I know.
What do I do with myself? Like, how do I?
Quiet time.
Yeah, it was but only one out of the, you know, 7 days.
Veronique, I'd be really embracing that day for sure.
Yeah.
Doing nothing.
Oh yeah, it was great.
So we're going to be in and out. Like I said, there's going to be some reruns on this show for sure, because we do take some time on August. There's going to be the New Brunswick Day, and then I guess you heard my exciting news.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited too that for anyone who doesn't know, I was honored to get a call to be in a sitcom,
Yes.
a TV sitcom
Yes.
that will air on another network because I'm loyal to this network. It's going to air on another network, and you'll be able to put on demand, I guess. Yeah, they reached out to me to play a part that is called N Brexit. So it's with James Mullinger, the comedian,
Yes.
who is very well known, has a beautiful book out called It Happens, and he's
Yeah.
right up there. You know, he's been hanging around with Jerry Seinfeld.
I know.
He sold out more concerts at Harbour Station St. John than Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, and Jerry Seinfeld all together.
He's
so,
amazing.
Yeah, so he wrote this script along with our own Mayor Adam Lorden,
Yes.
who is a film director as well.
Absolutely.
And they co-wrote this with me in mind.
That's
so
amazing.
so with me in mind, it's a good thing I said yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's going to be a fun little show. It's going to be based on Miramichi, you know, local humor.
Yep.
Taking in all the Miramichi things that happen around here, and I have a good little role.
You know what? I'm so proud of you because what an experience this is going to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been an actress for your whole life. You've done wonderful stage productions, and it's been incredible. So, you know, to now transfer that to the TV screen, and of course, we've been here. We're finishing off our 8th year on the show here, and live TV is definitely very different than scripted TV, but still TV, right?
Right.
But so excited! I am so proud of you and so excited for you, and it's going to be filmed right here in Miramichi.
Right. So we've had to make a couple of trips because Catherine Cairns is one of the other 4 principal actors. So it's myself, she's from Ontario, now living in Summerside. She's a stand-up comedian, hilarious.
Yep.
Catherine Cairns, and then James Mullinger is a comedian who transferred his home a few years back from the UK to Rothsay. And then Adam is here, and he flies away when he has time to direct and to write. So basically, once we've had a couple of more meetings in person with the 4 principal actors, then we come back to film around the 17th of August. And then there'll be more details to come. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And it's not like where I've done a stage play. Remember the time Stefan Savoie and I did the Owl and the Pussycat?
Yes.
There were 2 of us on stage for an 80-page script. Only the 2 of us for 2.5 hours. And even when I was backstage changing, I had to throw a line to him out. So it was an 80-page of memorization, line for line. It was like,
No.
So this is different because I've never done a TV sitcom, but it's intakes, as you would know.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, me and Adam, and then Catherine and James.
Yeah.
And then you're off for a bit and you're on for a bit, and it's not as mind-boggling.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I've only had one experience where I was in a play, and we was in 2018, and it was called Send Me Sweethearts.
Beautiful.
And I loved it too. But that memorizing is such a gift that you have because it's tough. People don't realize how much skill that takes, and you know, and I think of Adam too. Like, you know, Adam is of course our mayor, and you know, and people don't realize that being a mayor or councillor is actually a part-time job. Like the job description is supposed to be part-time. It ends up being a whole lot more than that. But you know, the rest, we all have careers outside of what we do with city council, and Adam has been able to build this incredible company that he has, you know, as a director and producer and all of those things. But absolutely, he's a young man, right? And needs to have that income as well from another job, same as I do, right? Because what we do for the city is wonderful and it's very rewarding, but it doesn't pay the bills.
No. So you both have other good jobs.
Well, everybody on council works outside of council because you know we're still at that working age, right? So, but anyway, I can't wait to see both of you. And James Mullinger is so gifted.
Yes, he is.
But I am so excited for you.
Well, the only bad thing is that we might have a lot of bleeps. We met.
I want to see those outtakes.
Oh no, we met in Moncton, and I mean, you know, you have 2 stand-up comedians, and then I can be a pretty bad actor, and then you have Adam, who has another side of humor to, you know, to a serious side. He has a good sense of humor. So it was almost cataclysmic. It was 4 of us. It's like, what the heck just happened in this room?
Oh, I can't wait. I want to see the bloopers. Absolutely.
No, we'll save those. So the Rock and Roll Festival's coming up.
Yes, and so the opening ceremonies kick off on Friday night, and actually Samantha Murphy and I, who is a sometimes fill-in co-host for us, here on Have a Chat, will be emceeing those opening ceremonies on Friday night.
I wish I could be there.
I know your schedule is so full right now, and I happen to be on vacation this week.
Yes. So it'll be packed, and it's going to be good weather, and it will be fun.
Kim Mitchell on the weekend.
I know Kim Mitchell.
So excited.
He must be my age now. Is he 50?
Yes.
He's got to be close to 50.
He's got to be close to 50.
Veronique, do you have a little recipe? Because I thought today I wanted to share something, I don't know how much time, but real quickly, a recipe that might take the rest of the viewers into summer.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, summer is that time where you get to try those, you know, cool things. And I find I also like to, you know, I mean, I like to dip into the extra treats every now and again too, and
of course,
you know, really enjoy the summer that we don't get a whole lot of. But anyway, mine's actually a lobster dip. So thinking, of course, of our wonderful lobster seasons that happen here, and lobster is my favorite. So yeah. So it's a lobster dip, and you can have it with anything. It's a refrigerated one, so. But in this particular case, the recipe that I got, they use it with chips, but I've had it with with lots of stuff.
Crackers and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 1 pack of cream cheese, 1 cup of whipped cream, 3 cups chopped lobster. The more the better is my theory.
Yeah.
5 chopped green onions. This sounds funny, but it makes it really good. 3 tablespoons of ketchup.
Okay.
Yeah, so it gives it a little tang to it. So mix well with a Mixmaster, refrigerate, and then serve with crackers, veggies, chips, whatever.
Oh,
so good.
Sounds yum. And
So
like
good.
I've got the drink to go with it. I'm going to ramble it up really quick before we go to break. It's a raspberry vanilla soda. It's prep time's 5 minutes, and get 5 minutes to put it, together, and then refrigerate for 1 hour. So it's 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 cup of fresh raspberries, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, seltzer water, and ice. In a small saucepan, you set it over a medium heat. Combine the water, the sugar, and the raspberries. Cook for about 5 minutes until the mixture is bubbling away and the sugar is dissolved. Stir and cook this mixture for another 5 minutes until the raspberries have cooled down. Set a fine mesh strainer over a measuring cup or bowl and strain the saucepan mixture, pressing down the raspberry pulp to squeeze out all the juice. Add the lemon juice and vanilla extract and let this chill in the fridge. To serve, fill a glass with ice and add 2 to 3 teaspoons of this raspberry syrup, and add about a cup of seltzer on top. I know I rambled off quick, but it's really, really, just
Yum.
Yum. The water, the sugar, the raspberries, the lemon juice, vanilla extract.
I'm coming over to your place for that.
We'll dip and we'll drink. How's
Very
that?
good.
We are so excited, Veronique, about today's guests. I mean,
know.
these are 2 beautiful ladies that have a lot to offer our community and their community.
Absolutely.
And so we are going to go. Well, actually, did you want to give a little hint? Have you heard tell of our next guest in relation to the surprise that she's bringing to the table, which is a book?
I love her. I love her. We got to travel together a
Yes.
few years ago,
Yes.
and had such a wonderful time. I was so excited to see actually when she launched her book, because I have followed along on her writing journey, and know that she's an incredibly gifted writer. So really excited about this.
Yep, and the other lady too, because we might get a chance to talk about this on air, is a cousin of mine.
Yep.
So it's nice to have people that you know and love on the show, and
Yep.
that you've dealt with over the years and
Yep.
come to be friends with.
Yep.
Not to mention relatives.
Well, and an incredible businesswoman here in the region, right? And really has done so much, and I'm looking forward to talking about her business. And
Me
what she
too.
does.
So without further ado, let's go to break, folks. Grab one of those drinks. I know you don't have time to make it, but at least come back and join us very soon for more Have a Chat. Well, hello and welcome back to Have a Chat. Again, I'm your host, Judy Logier, for today's show. You probably didn't have time to whip up that lobster dip that Veronique gave out because we were rambling it through the recipe and my drink, but consider it on these hot days. We are so pleased, Veronique and I, to have you join us today, Chantel McDonald.
I know.
It's so
excited.
lovely to join 2 of Miramichi's treasures.
Oh.
Honestly, it's
So
just a
kind.
pleasure.
So
pleasure
kind.
to be here.
Well, you're a treasure until you left. She's a former Miramichi treasure.
Yes, she is.
All right. I'll
No,
come back.
you're a sweetheart. So listen, for all of those who don't know you, like Veronique and I do, tell the viewers a bit about yourself, your life, personally.
Perfect. Well, Chantel McDonald. I am married to a wonderful husband, Jeremy McDonald. We met in Moncton. We kind of had mutual friends, if you will, and so they set us up. But I am a Sunny Corner girl, born and raised. I grew up in Sunny Corner, went to the high school, North and Southwest Regional, and then once we were married, we moved to Moncton. We lived in Miramichi for a few years, and then we moved to Ontario, and now we live in Moncton, and we have 3 children, Riker, Archer, and Ember. And it's been a lot of fun.
And they're gorgeous. I was at Chantel's wedding, which is 9 years ago.
Yes.
Gerard and I attended that spectacular wedding in Moncton.
It was big, yes.
And it was beautiful. You were just a dream bride, and he was just
thank you.
handsome. So your life is beautiful, Chantel. And then I ran into you with a friend for the first time since then in Chapters in Moncton not that long ago.
That's true.
And this is really funny because I was looking for a book for my mom, and she said, "Did you read my book?" I said, "No, have you read mine?" I thought she was joking. Like, I said, "Oh yeah, I've written a few too." Oh
my goodness.
Thinking that she didn't mean it, and she said,
Yeah.
"No, I have." And I said, "Where?" So she walked me over to where she has her beautiful book for sale.
Yeah.
And of course, I bought it.
Obviously.
And I've been sharing it around. So.
Well, and I mean, like you can't even talk. Look and see, it's Monday. That's what happened.
It's your trip. She's
I know you had a big trip.
I know. I'm
It's
just.
understandable.
It's driving the plaster rock that did it.
Yes.
It's everyone.
It scrambled the brains. Oh, it was one big.
That's
bump.
gross.
Anyway, but so yeah, I followed along because you had published some writings. You were writing online and stuff like that. But were you always a lover of books when you were a young girl? Like, was that something you were like, yeah, like I just can't get enough of books?
Yes. I was the type of child that just devours them. I loved reading, and I would read a lot. I would read quickly, and so I think that probably sparked it, and I kind of steered my career in the direction of literature because I really loved it so much.
Right. Now, as a student, would you say, really apt at creative writing? And would you say that particularly English teachers would have seen that particular great skill that you had for writing and said, "Okay, Chantal, maybe someday you can go with that and really make a career from that"?
No.
No? Nobody picked up?
Well, I say no because we had limited opportunity, I think, for creative writing when we were growing up, when I was at NSCR. But I do remember we were journaling in class, English class one day. My teacher was Elsie Enright, and I wrote in the journal that I wanted to someday publish a novel. And I remember her in the red pen as she corrected, she's like, "This is really interesting!" exclamation mark.
Yeah, right.
And so I knew I wanted to write something. And I did take creative writing, but I wasn't the type of person that was writing stories.
Okay.
I always journaled. I was always writing research papers or those kinds of things as I was studying, but I wasn't always tucked away with characters in the same way that you would expect. But I did love to write, and I did love to read, so I knew what made a good story.
And you are a teacher.
I am.
You're an educator.
A teacher by trade, yes.
Right on. What lucky students, I say.
It's true. My students right now are my children,
yes.
but that's okay. They think I'm a good teacher, I think.
Yeah.
I know you are. She was gathering up books, the chapters, and all these beautiful things to bring home to her kids that were with her, and it was just a lovely family setting, I tell you that.
So
well,
fun.
and Judy and I are such avid readers. Like we just absolutely adore reading and consume it as much as humanly possible. I was much the same as a child as you. I read everything I could get my hands on, and Dad introduced me to Lord of the Rings when I was 6. And that's what I grew up reading, right? So I love a story. But how did the idea come how did the idea come to write a book, and then and the one that you ended up writing?
So that's a very good question. So I had decided when I was in school that I wanted to write a book, and then life happens.
Yeah.
I was teaching, and I was encouraging other people to read, and I was raising children, and I always knew as I'm reading these books that I love that I wanted to create something like the books that I read. All these specific kinds of books that I was reading, the kinds of books I liked were always set in the States. Every female main character was from Oregon or California or Miami, and I loved it. There were books that I just devoured, but I always was tucked in my heart that it was a little heartbreaking. I never could find anything that was Canadian.
Love the Canadian girl story.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's not fair.
Yes.
There are Canadian books that I would read that were historical fiction, but the kind of books that I liked, which were modern, wholesome, kind of just heartwarming stories, they just weren't familiar to my own life. And so my goal was to create a piece of literature that a mom could be comfortable letting her daughter read, knowing that there's nothing that's going to be in it that would be shocking or upsetting, embarrassing, or that you would be nervous about, and it's very familiar. So it's set in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. It's a girl that it's that would be familiar to somebody from the Maritimes. And that was really, really important to me.
I love that.
Okay. Can you give us, I know, but for the viewers, to intrigue them, can you kind of give us a little bit of a peek at the theme, like you said, Lunenburg, but it's a love story. Is there a spiritual component? Like, I know a little bit, but I don't want to give too much away, neither do you.
Absolutely.
But give us a little overview of the book, Chantel.
So this book follows the main character, Sadie Jones, and she is on the cusp of her high school graduation when the book starts. And she is from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. At the beginning, you'll find a little bit of her backstory. She's got a tragic past, but she is excited about her future. And there are specklings of romance throughout it. It's not a hot and heavy romance, but it's there. There's a romance component with a handsome lobster fisherman.
Ooh,
right?
Oh, see, now we had
Now
lobster
you're
dip. We had
right? Lobster
to read the
dip,
book.
lobster fisherman.
There we go.
We didn't even plan that.
Right? With my raspberry drink to go
I
along
know.
with it.
We've coordinated our outfits, and now we've coordinated with that.
Giddy up. This is how this works.
Right? So, handsome lobster fisherman, because it's very maritime. So, who's going to
Obviously.
fall for a lobster fisherman?
Yeah.
And it's very faith-based, and so she's on this journey to kind of make peace with God, and also this journey of self-discovery. Like, I don't know who I am, and what does it mean to step out after graduation and figure that out for myself and find hope. And so my goal when I was writing was that it would be hope-filled, life-giving in that sense. And so I think it's a fun story. I think there's a few surprises for the readers that you wouldn't necessarily expect. A few surprises for Sadie that she wouldn't necessarily
It's beautiful.
expect.
People just
exciting.
so people are grabbing up your book too, right?
They
like
are.
They're doing well. It's doing well.
It's doing very well, and people have been very complimentary, so I am very grateful.
Isn't that exciting, Chantel? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, and it's been phenomenal to watch your journey so far, like from the day that you launched, and even your book signings and being in chapters. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I know someone who's got a book in chapters. Like it's really, it's very exciting. But how long was the process? Like how long did it take you to write and then publish all that stuff?
That's a very good question too, because I started, it was, New Year's resolutions being what they will. My New Year's resolution, January 2020, was I have just decided that, I'm going to do this. I've always wanted to write a book. It's never going to happen if I don't actually start.
Right.
And so I am going to write this book. And I did very well. If you remember it, March 2020,
Yes.
all of a sudden there was a pandemic. And so now my children are home.
Yeah.
And life has kind of hit a bit of a wall. And so I tried to pivot, keep writing. We hit some bumps in that road over the years. So in total, it went from, I started in January 2020 and the book was released in May this year. So a couple years, give or take.
Not bad, given everything that happened in there,
Given everything
though.
that happened, there were some lulls where I didn't write, but in September of 2020, I thought, okay, no, I've got to do this, and I set some pretty hard goals for myself, especially leading up to Christmas. I'm like, I just want this done. I want this finished before the end of the year, and so then I was able to actually get that manuscript to my editor by Christmas of that year. And then we kind of worked through it. So
What a dream come true. Like, what kind of feeling is that when you get that call, it's going to be published?
yes, so it is an email, and it was all my friends are emailing me or texting me and saying, "This is great. How do you feel?" Just that. I'm like, I feel sick to my stomach.
It's overwhelming.
Because especially because I was writing it in the pandemic, but I think in general, when you write a book, it's very private. It's very personal, and you're working alone with you and your computer, and nobody else really knows about it, or depending on how much you're sharing. And then all of a sudden, it's in the hands of other people, and I just wanted to recall all of those books because I had panic. There's just panic that people are reading this, and I know that was the plan.
No, that makes sense. I've never thought about it like that. But you think, will they like it? Will they hate it?
Right.
Will they receive it well?
What are people going to think?
Yes.
Will people, what will they think of me? And so all of that. So it was 24 hours of me dealing with that, and then I got excited, and it has been fun. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, just talking to people, hearing how they interpret some of the story, and just having people in my corner be excited for me.
Positive feedback.
Yeah,
That's
been
really
fun.
beautiful. I want to know how you balance it all. You have 3 children. Give me their ages first of all.
So my oldest is almost 7, so 6, and then 4, and then 2.
6, 4, and 2. She's an author. And then you have a lovely husband who has a busy life that you want to enjoy with him.
Yes.
And your housework and all the things that go in between your shopping for groceries and maintaining life. So how do you find balance in it all while you're writing or as you were writing?
Yeah, so it was a journey to figure out what works for me to find a space for writing. I had to figure out, I kind of did an inventory of my day. And when do I have space to write that's quiet, which is very rare.
Yeah.
When do I have energy in that space? And so I'm not the type of person, I'm just not, that can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and use that window to write.
No.
I can't.
No.
I can't force myself, and my children didn't sleep. So when I started this, my youngest was 4 months old when I started writing, and so she didn't sleep at all. And so I was trying to figure all of that out. And so my windows were nap time and after bed. And so I wrote this book in the margins, in the cracks. And so it was half an hour here, 15, 20 minutes there. And the thing that I would love for people to understand is because people are like, oh, you can't do it because you're in the trenches of motherhood. If you write a few words every day, eventually it gets done.
True.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I never write anything, then I will never get it done.
Stalemate.
Yeah,
That's
so I could set lofty goals and that, reach them or not. But even if I said, I'm going to write 150 words a day, and I'm going to do that in that 30 minutes while there's nap time, then I would be 150 words further ahead, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, because there's laundry and there's cooking and there's, I know you have a fantastic husband, but it's, like I said, kudos to organization is the key to success. I will always go with that line.
Absolutely.
And you grabbed your windows.
Find those little crevices of time. It wasn't glamorous. There were no writing retreats or no, nice desk with all the, calm your mind and that kind of thing.
Your pajamas, and your coffee or tea, and you can do what you want in your own time.
Exactly.
You made it work for you.
I made it work in my schedule, and it's done. So eventually it gets there.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, and it's funny because I one of the things that happened over my holidays is so when I lived in downtown Ottawa for a lot of years, and I used to see people running along the canal, right? And to me, people who ran along the canal were super fit and super dedicated and really, these paragons of, running virtue, right? And so I always thought, I'll never be able to do that, right? Because it's, but so this time I went and I ran along the canal because I can. I am a runner. Well, I say, but because I do go running every day, and I'm like, you know what? You just have to do it anyway.
Yes.
Jump right in.
You did it anyway.
Exactly.
You made it fit for you and made it work for you, and you have a book that's been published.
Exactly. And you're going to run a 10K.
That's right. And you just do it anyway because you're never. You can't. Not everybody's going to be exactly the same in every aspect that we do.
Absolutely.
And if you wait for that to happen, then you're never going to get to do the things that you always wanted to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're amazing.
Real quickly, 2 things. Are you going to do a sequel, do you think?
I've already about 3 or 4 chapters into the sequel.
That is good news for people who have been asking me to ask
Yes,
you. That is
yes.
phenomenal. And before we go to break, tell us a bit more about your connection, like that people can reach you or Facebook and all of your information.
Absolutely. So I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram, Chantal J. McDonald. And you can find the book. If you're in Miramichi, it's at Mill Cove. If you're in Moncton, it's at Chapters. If you're in Sackville, it's at Tidewater Books. But it's also on Amazon, Canada, and the U.S. You can catch it off there.
Oh my gosh, so you're right in the
So
middle
proud
of
of you.
beginning your next book.
Yes.
You're underway.
Oh, it's underway.
Oh, I'm just
I'm
so
so
excited.
proud of her. I'm like, I've got this little bubble in my
Oh,
tummy.
it's so fun. I love that. And that is what brings me great joy is people celebrating each other.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
It's awesome.
Tell us just quickly, Chantal, because your illustration is beautiful. People actually thought that was you that saw the book.
I know.
Now, how did you go about that, just real quickly, getting that in your mind, or did someone come to you and say, this is how I visualize hope in the oceans, at the ocean's edge?
So I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like. Obviously, the character does look similar to me. You write what you know, right?
Yes, yeah.
My son says, that looks like your hair, Mommy, but with Auntie's hair color.
Of course,
Right?
sister, yes,
It's colored like yours.
Yeah.
And so I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like. I worked with the graphic designer, and we were able to get the images that we wanted that would echo kind of my thoughts. And so she sent me a whole bunch of mock-ups, and we kind of chose from there.
And Lunenburg in the background.
Yes,
It's just beautiful and catchy. I mean, I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes I do.
Yes.
And I gravitate towards something pretty and something like just appealing to my eye. And it could be like 2 words on the book, and I'll put it back because there's no pretty picture. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah. It's
But
true,
this
though.
one, especially with hope in such big letters, is a lure in itself.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is the graphic designer told us that it also has to be eye-catching as a thumbnail, because most people are scrolling on their phones looking at book titles on Amazon. So I'm like, the hope needs to be big enough that you can see it on
I
the
know.
Of those things.
Right?
Like,
There's so much.
You just think, well, it looks great, but then you have to think of those
there's
ways now that we access
all
that,
the way
right?
that people read. It's very different from actually just the
And
physical
I
book.
am getting mine signed. I bought it the day I saw her, but I'm getting mine signed right after the show. And of course, there she is, her beautiful self on the back cover. It's an amazing book, folks. Order it, and she gave you all the different places she can get it. So it's been our sheer pleasure, Veronique and
Thanks so
mine,
much.
and I'm sure everyone at Rogers that's viewing today to have you as our guest. All the best with your next book, Chantel.
Thank you so
and
much,
keep
Judy.
shining and believing in yourself.
You guys
We
are
will see you hopefully for the next book.
absolutely.
Bye. Okay, everybody, we won't be long. Come join Veronique and I very soon again. Well, welcome back, folks. If you're just joining us, I'm your host for today's show, Have a Chat, obviously. And we're in our third part of the show. And I'm joined by my lovely, wonderful co-host, Veronique Arsenault. If you're just tuning in.
I pay her to say
No.
that.
I love being with Veronique. I really do. It's our Monday fun time and bonding time. And now we're joined by one of my relatives, which I can say is a pleasure to say that, Tracy Bryanton Power. Welcome to your first show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so glad to have you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you look
Thank you.
summery and just right in the mode because we're in a heat wave, so
Yes.
you're dressed accordingly for sure. I know you personally and all about your life and every detail, but for those who don't, tell us a little bit about yourself and your children and hubby and all that.
Okay, so I was Tracy Bryanton initially, and I married a man named Aaron Power, and we've been married for 24 years. 2 beautiful children, Michael and Ty, 15 and 13, going
my
to be
goodness.
16 and 14 in
Believe it.
September.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I started Amora 27 years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
And you're
so-
just a baby still.
Oh my gosh, I wish. I'll be 51, 10 years behind you, right?
And yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, and everybody knows I'm 61 now. I love you back. I don't hide my age. It's ridiculous. You die.
No, I don't
you die,
either.
and it's in the paper anyway.
Yeah,
She was a liar as well as a good citizen.
I don't hide mine either. I'm going to be 50 this year, so
And it's a blessing. It's an honor and privilege.
yeah,
Yeah,
lucky
I
enough to
agree.
be on this side of the
Of the grass.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about your 20s,
Yeah.
it only gets better, I find, as you get
Do
older.
you?
And that's,
Yes, I do.
I've gotten much more
How?
comfortable.
Yeah.
Al, pray tell. No, I'm just joking. I
Well,
love
the
it.
only thing I find, so I have gotten much more comfortable, but what I find now is if I sit for too long and I get up, it takes me a couple steps before like all the creaks work out, you know?
Yeah, I'm still pretty agile. I
Yeah.
still feel like I'm 12.
I see.
Yeah, it's
I'm-
all in here,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I'm 32 in my head.
Yes. Well, that's
That's where I stay.
Yeah.
So when did you? So you have an incredible business here, and you opened Amora 27 years ago.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I know.
So when did you first start taking an interest in aesthetics? When did you know that was kind of your passion and your path?
Well, when I was little, I didn't know the terminology for aesthetics, but
Right.
I always said I wanted to do hair and makeup when I got older.
Right.
Wow.
And we lived out west for a period of time, and our teacher in one of our classes at grade 4 got us to draw a picture of ourselves, what we were going to look like in the future and what we were going to do. So I drew a picture of myself with my red lips and my
Yes.
makeup all done and my dangly earrings.
Yes.
And in there I said I'm going to do nails and makeup for a living when I get older. And so,
Oh, neat.
yeah, I feel like I always knew. Some people say, I don't know what I want to be or what I want to do. I felt like I've always known. what I wanted
that's
to
amazing.
do. Yeah.
It's just to spell it. That would be the hard part. To get the aesthetics in there.
I still can't.
I might be able to do it if I could spell it. No, I'm joking.
My mother still doesn't know how to spell it, so.
It's a tricky one for sure, but it's a beautiful name, a more aesthetic. So take us back to when you first said, hey, I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to actually live my dream.
Yeah.
How did you start out?
Well, when I first graduated from high school, I ended up working for a construction company for 5 years, and I learned.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Doing men's makeup.
Of course you did.
So I got to learn all my accounting background, and I would travel back and forth to UNB, and I did accounting courses and stuff. So really, that worked out perfect for me because it gave me the background of business first, and then I went into the aesthetics. So I did that for 5 years, and then I thought, okay, you know what? This is enough. It's time for me to do what I really want to do because I was talking about it all the time.
Right,
So so I decided to follow through. I was 24 at the time and went through with it. And I graduated in May of 1995. And then I shopped and shopped and shopped for a place where I wanted to open my business. And I kept looking. But you know when you just know it's right, you have that feeling in here. Nothing was affecting me that way. And then finally, in September, I found a spot on Pleasant Street. And it was the Asuf building, and I opened up there. And at that time, there was no association with the cosmetology, so I could live there and have my business there. So that's exactly what I did. Yeah.
But did you have to hire someone to, of course, like you were on your own, but then how did you start hiring, like to give you a hand with your clients?
Yeah, so the first 3 years, I actually bartended at the Opera House at night, and I would be there till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but I made sure I was up at 9 o'clock and had my door open for clients because I didn't want to miss not one client if there was a walk-in. And and then there was a lady named Mary Susan Gregan, and she
Mary Susan.
She was
Beautiful lady.
She was retiring from her business, so she had tried out a few of the estheticians in town to see who she would like to refer all her clientele to, and I was very blessed that she chose me. So I ended up with a great clientele right off the bat, and it just grew and grew and grew. So by the 5-year mark, after 3 years, I finished bartending because I was just too busy. And then by the 5-year mark, I actually started hiring employees to work for me. And then by the 6-year mark, we decided to move up to Edward Street, where my business is now. And I had the spa and some hairdressers. We did that for about 3-4 years. And hair and aesthetics, for me, just didn't go well together because I'm all about the tranquility and the peace and the quiet. And, and hairdressers, they're bubbly and they need to make you and your hair looks fabulous.
And everyone's telling you their life story.
Yeah,
you're the social worker while you're doing their hair.
Yes. So I just decided that wasn't a good fit for me anymore. So then I thought, you know what? And all the people that were coming to work for me, I had to retrain them and how to do a manicure, how to do to my standards. And so my husband said to me, why don't you just open up your own school? And I'm like, why not? So that was in after Christmas, February. And by September, I had it open and going.
You're a real go-getter, though, Tracy. You're like Chantel that was just on, and Veronique and I both. We get our goals set, and we really strive to meet them. I'm not a procrastinator thinking, I'd like to do that someday. I'm going to do it. Like you said, don't wait. People should just live it now and don't put off, because that old adage, don't put off today, today what you can do tomorrow, right? Is that how it goes, or don't? Or the opposite?
Don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today.
Exactly, the reverse. Do it now. Don't wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So it was the best decision I ever did.
Success, baby.
Yeah. So I did the spa and the school for so many years, and then it had children, and my husband was like, I didn't have children for you to be still at work 80 hours a week. So I thought, okay, maybe it's time to sell the spa. So I sold the spa part of my business to a girl that had been with me since she was 18. And I knew she would run it with the same integrity and the same, that I felt comfortable with. And so then I just started teaching from 9 till 5, and it was great. I could be home in the evening then with my children and put them to bed, and
Working 9 to 5. Just like Dolly.
So you have the school, and you've had the school for a number of years now. So what can a student expect, that registers with you now and comes to learn from you?
Yeah, so we have 4 different programs that we offer. We offer the aesthetics program, which is 40 weeks in total, and so September till June. And then we have depilatory, like a waxing class, that's 12 weeks. And then we have lash and brow program that is 12 weeks, and we have the gel nail program, which is 15 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so they do have to do an online application with references and stuff. I'm very choosy of who I have come into the school. I want the energy to always be positive. I want them to be there because they want to be there and not just because, you know, oh, it's just something to do.
Right.
Yeah.
They have to be passionate, and you're a great role model for that.
Yeah.
So you have to teach all of those categories. You have to instruct separately those 40 weeks and the other weeks. Oh my gosh.
But I have people that work with me that help me with that stuff, so it's
You've
good.
trained them to teach.
Yes.
Exactly. You have to. You go crazy. You never have enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
No, I can't even imagine what it takes to actually run a school for, you know, for all of those things and your students, and, you know, like lashes and brows are so hot right now. Like everybody, you know, is really focusing on those things that, you know, as I touch my eyebrows, I'm like, did I do them today? But yeah, it's such a, I can't even imagine.
Booming business. Yeah, it's a multi-million, probably billion-dollar business. Like the
That component.
beauty industry. Yeah.
Tracy, like, so how many, are you free to answer the question, how many students you would put through roughly, like annually? Like, I know it varies. Do you accept young men and women as men as well?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
wonderful to know that they can go into that and have a
Yeah.
successful career as well as not just women where it used to be like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank God times have changed.
Yeah, some of
And
the best estheticians
Are
that I've ever
men.
been with have
Yes.
been
are
men.
men and
Yes.
hairstylists as well,
Yes.
if I may say so.
Yeah.
But this decision by the government to stop supplying students going forward with the insurance, the EI, how has that affected people?
So far, I've lost 6 students that were signed up for September, so that's a lot of money. So I've lost 6 students that just said, you know what, I can't afford to go and have travel back and forth, and I have children that are in daycare where if they were eligible to get their EI, that would have helped,
Obviously.
you know,
Of
with that. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm hoping that something will change, that there'll be another type of support that can come out, for those,
Is this just
for
a
those
bomb
ladies.
drop or what? Like, do people, like, I know my nephew Kale's back at Dell for his 4th year, and I mean, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the cost to live in Halifax alone, and then all the food and all the study material, and everything, it's huge.
Yes.
And my sister's a single mom,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking right now, another show. And we love her, she's an amazing mom, but she's finding like that's huge because she has 2 other sons. That one's independent, but one's only going to be 15, and it certainly does impact those that are wanting to take on courses and join, for example, the academy that you're training to teach
Well,
people
education in general has become so cost prohibitive, right? It's so expensive, and there are so many countries out there that provide free post-secondary
They do,
education.
yes,
You know, and like I wish somebody would hang on to that for us. You know, in Canada, and you know, it's not a provincial issue; it's a federal one, but still, like, we need something wrapped around post-secondary education because we are losing our you know, kids to other countries because they can get better jobs and you know, more support and things like that. And you know, and to know that it not only does it affect the students in losing some of these programs, but you know, of course, your institution and others, you know, it's a really
counting on it?
It's a tough pill to swallow there for sure. But you know, I'm hopeful that something else will come, and that you'll be able to, they'll be able to
return
come
and
back,
take up what they really want to do in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. So how is the intake only in September for you, or like for new students, or?
I have different intake dates. So September is definitely one of them, and then we do again in January, and then we do again in May. And so for the shorter programs, for the 12 and the 15-week programs, the aesthetics program is just September and just January. Yeah.
It's funny, I worked in the beauty industry for a lot of years. That was the beginning of my career. I was a makeup artist for a number of years. And then I taught makeup artists, and then I worked for a multinational company as the education executive for Quebec and Eastern Ontario, and then and I loved it. I missed the industry in a lot of ways, and but it was amazing because they're so gifted in what they do, you know, and it is true artistry.
It's artistry.
You know, like nails and makeup and hair and all, like it is true artistry, and people don't, I think, realize often the passion that these artists come with, but also that the education and training ongoing.
Yeah, and a lot of people think it's just like a bird course. Oh, you're just doing nails and makeup. But the anatomy and the physiology aspect of it, like you have to know the body inside and out, like the nervous system, the circulatory system, like your skin. You have to know everything. So.
And there's continuous development, right?
Yes.
Like it's you continually go back for more training, because you want to be up on what's new, and the more we learn about our bodies, the more your students and you have to be on that cutting edge.
Yeah, I try to make sure that anything new that's out and about, to train myself right away in it, so that I can bring that back to my students, because I want Amora to be known as keeping on top of everything and always giving the best to our students.
And you've received numerous awards, Tracy.
Yes.
She wouldn't bring them up herself because she's too modest, but just before we wrap, give us a couple of highlights of your, the awards you've received, and a highlight in your career, perhaps, just in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, we received like a lot of, for the top school of New Brunswick, and there's 10 different aesthetic schools, and we've won that numerous times. My students have won many awards when they go over, because they mark them, so they get the highest theory mark, highest practical mark, or highest overall mark. Yeah, so one year we won 9 of the different awards just right in a row.
Testimony to your role modeling and success and your school.
Thank you.
How can people reach you before we part ways? How can they get in touch with you and maybe look into your program?
They can go online to amoraesthetics.com. All the information's on there. The application forms are on there. The only thing that they need to attach to that would be a copy of their birth certificate or driver's license, and a copy of either their diploma or transcript of grade 12 marks. I have to have that pre-approved by our association before I can accept them into my program. So,
well, I think it's pretty darn fortunate for our area that we have Tracy and Amora Aesthetics in it.
Well, you have always been one of my greatest supporters, Judy.
Well,
always. Like, I can't thank you enough for. I know the night that we did the gala, I was so nervous that night, and I wanted to thank you that night, and it just went right out of my head. I know.
That particular night was when you were the recipient for the Chamber of Commerce Professional of the Year or Business of the Year?
Yes.
My gosh, and she had this beautiful, she always dresses so nice and looks so beautiful. I think, like you said, it's art, just looking after yourself. Like taking time to make the most of yourself.
Well, I think in my business especially, you have to be walking, talking advertisement of yourself, right?
Yeah. Why not look good? Why would you want to go around just with dowdiness and not? I think I'm going to honestly say, when you're put together, you feel like $1 million.
You do.
You're ready. You put a power suit on to go into a business room, you're going to own that room.
Yes.
You put on your hair like you have now and a cool little dress, you feel cool. And I'm not
people
talking
see you
about,
and they're like, oh, I want to look like that, or I wonder if she can make me.
Well, it changes too the way you think, and it's funny, the power of lipstick, and we used to talk about this at work all the time when I worked for the company. But the power of lipstick, because when you think about it, you can look like your regular self every day, but when you put on that lipstick that you love, it changes your mood. It changes how you see yourself, and all of a sudden. And I used to do a bold red lip for that reason, and red nails, because it just made me feel like I could take over the world and do what I needed to do to get things done.
And you did.
And I did.
So I guess we're going to have to say goodbye to my lovely Tracy Bryant Power that's joined us today, and Veronique and I, we're really excited to have you on. We love our first time guests.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we wish you a continuous success in your business, and people can reach out if they want to join Amora Aesthetics. She's given you the details on that, and we want to wish our viewers a wonderful continuous summer of safety, travel, just family fun, and like I said, if you don't see us, we are going to be back. Goodbye everybody, have a safe summer. Bye bye. Thank you.